Welcome to Drop Talks, the podcast where we drop knowledge and insights from the world of influencer marketing. I'm your host, Kelsey, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey. In today's episode, we have a special guest who has made a name for herself in the influencer marketing world, Kristen Lareau. Kristen is a strategic marketing professional with a decade of industry experience. She's currently the marketing manager of Constellation Brands, one of the world's largest distributors of beer, wine, and spirits. She's also a certified level 2 Cicerone, which means she has an incredibly deep knowledge of the world of beer, product launches, branding, and marketing. Kristen, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing? That was quite the intro.
Excited to have you. Hey, you made a name for yourself. So tell me a little bit kind of about you and Funky Buddha Brewing.
Yeah, sure. So I've been with Funky Buddha for about 5 years. So we've been here for 10. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this coming June. I started out doing all of the beer training here. So like you said, I am a level 2 Cicerone, which is basically like the sommelier for beer. And worked under our brand manager here for a few years and kind of did the programmatic side under him. So any retail programming, and then I did the influencer programming under him, learned a ton, and kind of just like worked my way up the ladder within our department. And so, yeah, now I'm the manager here for the marketing team. It's a really small team, but we're small but mighty. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being mighty, kind of the social media accounts that I've seen, you guys are absolutely crushing it right now. So I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about how you're engaging with your influencers right now for the brands that you manage.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah, we have social media obviously is super important right now, and the algorithms are ever changing. So it is complicated, from our perspective. We can post, and we may not even like people who we want to see may not see it. So we have been doing some influencer marketing, which has been really good for us as far as reaching new consumers who may not have seen us before. We've also been, it's like a fun way to get like organic content that just feels so natural. Like, not everyone knows that we sent them like a gift and like a bundle and stuff. They just see somebody posting on the beach and they look like a Funky Buddha super fan, and we reposted. And it's just like a really like easy way to make it feel just like very natural. And I mean, it's a good relationship. It's mutually beneficial. Like we're giving them gifts and stuff and they're super happy. They usually send us like really nice messages. And at the same time, they give us like really great content, like super cool reels. They usually put their dogs in there. It's like, it's cute. Yeah.
Never met a dog I didn't like. So kind of walk me through the process of selecting these influencers that you're working with.
So we sort of start off each program. Well, we approach any program that we do like within their brand as we call it like a Q storm. So we start talking with like, what brand are we focusing on? And then we ask ourselves as many questions as we can about that particular brand. Who are we trying to reach? Who are we not trying to reach? Who, like the people that we're trying to reach, where are they? Where are they shopping? What are they drinking? Where are they spending their time? And we sort of just like develop a plan based off that. So our last one, for example, was about Hop Gun, which that brand is particularly referential to our love for like pop culture and movies and music. It's not necessarily specific to Top Gun, but just our love for, we call them culture vultures. So yeah, we kind of put that together, and then we'll usually put together a brief for ApexDrop, and they kind of put that together for us, and then we'll go through. We try to pick things that we try to be as diverse as we can, whether it's diverse by gender. There's a lot of dudes with beards in the beer industry, so we try to be, not only focusing on that demographic. We also try to make sure that we're being culturally diverse, as well as like body diverse too. There's a lot of like very attractive influencers, obviously. So we try to stay away from anything that we refer to as like too pinup-y or something that we think might make any one of our followers like feel, that we're trying to push something on them that isn't like truly us. So we usually vet like a handful of them, and then we kind of get ApexDrop to select the rest of them for us. And then there's been times where we've seen certain influencers that we thought were like really great performers or gave us great content. And we've asked to repeat them a couple times. So obviously we love the dogs. We love anything Florida. So yeah.
That's great. How do you measure that success in those partnerships with these influencers?
Well, impressions. So we can look at their impressions, their reach, but ultimately it's usually when we take their content and repurpose it and we see how people are following us, like feel about it and really interact with it, that really is meaningful to us. because it just shows people who already follow us, already like us, and like how they resonate with that particular piece of content.
Yeah.
So.
So you mentioned the Top Gun campaign, working with that. Is there another campaign that you're particularly proud of? Like what made that stand out to you?
That was the most recent one, and that was for a brand that has grown organically for a while. We haven't given it a lot of love. We've done a few different ones. We did one with Floridian that's really cool. Our next campaign is actually the one I'm most excited about because we'll be doing a campaign around Floridian, as well as Tropical Floridian, which is a brand new brand that we're launching.
Mhm.
And it's very, very central around Florida. We're making our pet towels, which is basically made of recycled plastic. And they're the kind of like the sandless towels that are kind of like the cloud towels. So really nice. We have a bucket hat that's reversible. So one side's Floridian, one side's Tropical Floridian, also made from recyclable materials. So that one was really fun. We did another collaboration with a local streetwear artist down here. It's called The Alchemist.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a big thing in Miami. We were trying to really reach our like Miami consumers, and we did that with our seltzer products. And they created like some really nice custom streetwear. And then we had ApexDrop like vet and fine influencers that were, you know, heavily involved in like the fashion industry or, you know, hip hop culture, skating, anything like that. And that was cool because that was a very it was a really expensive average retail value. So we had a very small list, but they were like hyper selected.
Mhm.
We could also geo target, which has been really helpful to us to make sure that these people are in the actual, you know, demographics
Yeah.
and the key markets that we're trying to reach.
Yeah. So it sounds like kind of all of those three pieces, being able to pull all of like pulling Apex Drop in, everything that you do, it really made it kind of like a powerhouse campaign for you.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
coming
it
up.
did. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. So, I mean, kind of on the topic of campaigns, you've got one that you're really excited about. Everyone always has a story about maybe like a campaign or a post that didn't go exactly like as they hoped. Do you have like a favorite mistake that helped you learn of like how to like avoid problems?
Okay, I will say I don't have a we are very good at like vetting the things that we repost. I will say that there have been times where we've reused content like in our own personal like internal decks and stuff, and I've seen um, other people in my department use ones and be like, that's a very like I would consider that to be a pretty sexually explicit image. And it's like a dude and they're like, I don't see it that way. And then you show it's like a girl and you're like, what's the first thing you see in this picture? You know, and it's like, so I think that's been a learning curve for the team to kind of like go back to one
Yeah.
another because you just want to make sure that you're not it's such a public space and we're putting
Mhm.
when it's coming from our you know account we're putting our stamp of approval on every single thing in that picture. So you really just want to make sure that you're really just considering everybody's like potential reactions to that, and you just want to be just like as considerate as you can. We don't want anybody to come to our page and be feeling bad or like
Yeah.
hurt by something that we post. So
Yeah.
I think that we've done a really good job at vetting what we repost. I haven't
Yeah.
seen too many. Some have been just like really funny and kind of just like silly, but nothing I've seen that has been particularly like negatively impacting the brand. So thank God that hasn't happened yet. But
Yeah, right, right. And it won't, knock on wood, it won't.
yeah.
Um, so, kind of pivoting a little bit, talking about marketing, kind of in your experience, do you have like a best or, most worthwhile marketing investment that you've made, whether it be like money, time, energy, direction? Like, is there anything that sticks out to you in that sense?
Um, there are a few. I mean, it's it's tough because like for us here, we basically divide it into two main buckets because we have our tap room, which we love to drive people to. We have a really cool tap room. We have an in-house kitchen, cocktails, and then obviously like a wide variety of really cool beers. But then we also distribute core products offsite. So they kind of fall into two different buckets. We've have some really good relationships that have done really well for us. For example, we have a sponsorship with the Florida Panthers. And that's just been something that's been so good for us. So we get to use their marks. We actually have a funky bit of tap room at their arena. And it's just really resonated with like our local consumers. Like people love the Panthers, and it just has felt like a very natural relationship. So anything like that we can kind of like come to, partnerships. Also, we have one now out with 4Ocean, which I'm not familiar. Where are you guys located? You're not in Florida, are you?
No, I was actually in Florida a few weeks ago, but no.
Okay, so 4Ocean is a pretty popular like local brand, and basically they make these bracelets, and each bracelet pulls out 1 pound of trash out of the ocean. So we worked with them recently and did a collaboration bracelet on so we have a Funky Buddha 4Ocean bracelet. So I guess like it's gone so far, like we're so careful about our beer and our products, and we care so much, but at the same time it's also people just really care about brands they want to be associated with. So it's not just about the beer. We want to be a brand that people, want to know what we're doing, and they want to wear our bracelets, they want to wear our shirts, they want to come to our events. Like they just want to be like associated with us on like a lifestyle level as well,
Yeah. And 4Ocean, that's a really big brand. So it's certainly not like a local thing. Like it's definitely like a nationally known thing. Yeah. So that's great that you guys have a partnership with them. Yeah, totally. So kind of when it comes to talking about marketing, you've mentioned the bracelets, you've got the tap room with the Florida Panthers. Is there anything that's been kind of like crazy or out of the box that you've tried that like at first you might have been like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work, or like, but like it ended up being great, or anything kind of crazy?
Oh, let me think. Crazy. We definitely have a lot of crazy ideas that usually don't get passed through legal. Um, but I guess like one of the things that we do like quite a bit that is a lot of juice for a little bit of squeezing is, we'll do these like a retail program where we'll basically be like do like a consumer sweeps or something where somebody can win a Floridian beach cruiser, or like a ride on like a scooter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, please take out the word cooter. That's not the first.
A Florida cooter. That's not going to make it through legal.
Not going to Florida cooter. Okay, sorry. So we've done we've done retail programs where consumers can enter to win like a ride-on cooler scooter, where we have like a disco ball like helmet, just like kind of fun stuff like that. And basically we can take these to our national accounts like Publix, Walmart, Winn-Dixie, and pitch it to one person, and one person can get on board and basically sell that into a lot of the accounts. So that's something we do that's like very effective for it's like we do one work on one program, but it gets a lot of juice out of that. But otherwise, like I'll say some of the sillier things we do is usually stuff for the tap room. For our anniversary party, we're going to get like a giant piñata and fill it with a bunch of crazy stuff. So just like fun stuff. Like we get together and we throw like the most like ridiculous names and ideas like at the wall, like throwing sketty at the wall, and kind of just like hope for the best.
Yeah. That's brilliant. So kind of in the current state of influencer marketing, being authentic and transparent, that's a big push now. Talk to me about how brands and influencers can work together to build that transparency. Like how have you been doing it in order to encourage that trust?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of both. So they get to sign up for our program first. So I think that they have already sort of made their decision that we are a brand that they want to, work with. And again, like we'll vet a handful of the campaign. We typically don't vet the entire list, but if we see something that we're like, hey, this is not, maybe it's like people could tend to be a little bit more vocal, like even about like political things, like just things that we just don't want to be involved with. We'll point that out and be like, hey, this is a watch out for us. This is not something we necessarily want to be associated with. Or so I mean, there's a laundry list of things you have to be considerate about. But I guess when you're talking about being organic, like it's just, I don't know. Sometimes it's just a vibe. You see, like we'll see like an influencer's post, and the girl's like wearing roller skates, or she's hula hooping, and she's out there like with her dog and just like having fun and like free spirited. And we're like, okay, yeah, this is totally our demographic. This is totally the type of person we want to associate with our brand as well. So I guess like, we've referred to ourselves as being like positively funky. So we put that in the sense of like, Florida is super weird, and everybody knows it. It's like Florida man has done this. So we kind of try to like lean into it. Like, yeah, Florida's weird, but we're proud of those things. So we try to make it like, it's a positive sense that we have this like freewheeling like nature of our state. So we kind of try to lean into that vibe a little bit. Like weird is good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I imagine too, being able, like you said, working with ApexDrop, I'm sure like working with them has really been able to help you kind of narrow that down in too.
Yes. And it's a huge lift for us because, we're not searching, social media platforms for these people. So they have them, sort of already curated for us. And now we've done, I think, like 10 campaigns with them. So they know what we
Mhm.
like and what we don't like. We might switch it up a little bit by campaign, but as far as like the brand goes, I feel like they have us down pretty well. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So if I don't know, kind of, you mentioned a little bit about what your background was. I'm not sure if you were like in marketing in college, but like if you were to look back and kind of give advice to people who are entering the real world of business and marketing now, like what advice would you give them?
I always say go the extra mile because it's always less crowded. But my background specifically was event management,
Mhm.
which actually kind of has gone hand in hand with marketing quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's like the project management side is so heavily involved in events, and that also goes into product development and product launches.
Mhm.
Events, you're asking yourself the same questions, like what do people want to do? Like what are they doing for fun? Like how do we get them to care about this?
Mhm.
So those are very hand in hand. But I would also just say that like there are so many, career paths out there that you're not aware of. And like I would say hospitality, marketing, and business, like anything in there. If you want to be creative, like you can do project management, events, product launches. There's a lot of
Mhm.
opportunity out there.
Mhm.
So I mean, when I first graduated from college, I worked for a company in training. I was there for like probably like 5 or 6 years training managers and like their sales team and stuff. Then
Mhm.
became like an operations manager of a local brewery, learned a ton on like a smaller scale, and then
Mhm.
eventually found my home at Funky. But yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity out there. Say yes and show up and just like, yeah, just go the extra mile because
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how many people like don't.
Yeah, no, totally. And kind of it sounds like to kind of lean into yourself and lean into who you
Yeah.
are, like as a person, as a brand, and just accept kind of because it sounds cliche to say, but there's no other you. So like leaning into like your authentic and genuine self.
100%. And asking questions, I've learned that too. Like sometimes when I ask questions, it's like, this is going to be a stupid question. And then you find out that like everyone's kind of on the same page and like people genuinely like don't want you to fail. So like
Mhm.
when you're asking questions and stuff, don't be afraid to ask, people who typically who have like an expertise in an area want to share that expertise.
Mhm.
So I've been very fortunate to have worked with a lot of very intelligent people here at Funky, and I've learned so much, and I continue to learn like stuff every day because everybody here is just like very open and very
Mhm.
supportive.
I feel like that's a really big pivot that has been made, like as I've like excelled in my career, is that before I thought like asking questions, people would be like, "Oh my God, you don't know what you're talking about." Now it's like, no, ask all of the questions. Like that shows that like you are learning and you're progressing.
Yes. And even from my side as like a manager, when somebody on my team is asking like good questions to me, I'm like, okay, this person is really understanding this, or they're trying to understand this, and
Mhm.
like they're engaged. And so, yeah, that's definitely a huge positive too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So as we kind of start to wrap up this conversation, Kristen, the world of influencer marketing has changed so much, even over the last like year, 2 years, 3 years. In kind of your experience and kind of looking ahead, evolving over the next 5 years, what do you think marketers should be doing to kind of stay ahead of the curve of the change?
ooh, that is a very good question. Wait, let me think about this for a second. As it's changed, you're saying as it's changing, influencer marketing is
Hmm.
changing. What can we do to stay ahead of the curve? Um,
Hmm.
I think, well, one, continue to innovate. Like we've been really well known for doing like crazy, unique, exciting things. People really want to take pictures and videos. So making sure like what we're doing is very visually attractive. So for
Hmm.
example, we're doing for our anniversary this year, we're doing like a larger bottle of beer. It's gonna be like a 22-ounce bomber.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever seen like beer, sometimes they wax the top and they,
Hmm.
so we're gonna do like a white wax. We're gonna make it
Oh,
vanilla scented because it's going to be a funfetti inspired beer, and we're going to wax it with like vanilla scented wax, and then we're going to put confetti on it,
oh my
and then we're going
gosh.
to put a little mini candle on the top in the wax so that people can actually light it. So we're like things like that people can like interact with, and that is fun and weird and something they haven't like heard of or seen before,
Yeah.
like trying to stay ahead of that. I don't know
Yeah.
how we do it other than just being like the bunch of stone cold weirdos that we are here, but like, yeah, continuing to do that. And I guess just continuing to stay like authentic to who we are, because as things get tense as well, making sure we're very clear on like who we are and what we stand for, and that we don't blur that line, I think is really important to us. But yeah, that's a really great question. And if you ever find a concrete answer, please share it with me.
Hey, that's why we're doing drop talks. That's why we're doing drop talks, baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Kristen. Well, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you breaking down kind of all things that you're doing at the Funky Buddha. I think it's fantastic. All of the different and fun things that you guys are doing to stay true to yourself, but still encouraging, in your own way, for the influencers that you're working with, to inspiring them to do their own thing, and bringing that back into Funky Buddha. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate you being on Drop Talks today.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to have you.